almost time to kick off the USWRA Low Point Wheelchair Rugby National Championship game between the TIRR Texans and the Northridge Knights. We'll have about 1 minute until gameplay begins. Official Bob Lopez takes center court to set up for the try. The Knights are ready. The Texans are ready. Let's kick this game off to determine who will go home with the trophy for 2025. Mike DeYoung gets the tip, but the Texans come up with the ball on the opening possession. Danny Ortiz will drive it all the way down the court for a try. Colton works his way up the left side, gets into the front court, and dumps the ball up to Mike DeYoung. Mike DeYoung's hung up on JJ, so he drops the ball up to Josh O'Neill. Josh O'Neill works his way back around to the right side. He's got Spurley in coverage. Spurley has him stopped. Oh, he wants to dump the ball up to Colton, but Spurley is there to pick the pass off. Spurley pushes his way across to the front court. Colton's going to challenge him. He does. He picks him in the end, but Spurley dumps the ball up to JJ for the try. Mike DeYoung to inbound from the baseline for Northridge Knights. Finds Josh O'Neill coming down on the right side of the court, but he gets hung up on JJ. Breaks his way free. He's gunning up the left side, but JJ isn't going to give up the fight this easily. JJ makes contact, but isn't able to stop him. That's the opening try for the Northridge Knights. Daniel Ortiz takes the inbound from Spurley down low, works his way up around Michelle on the right sideline. He's off into the front court with lead blocking from JJ. He's able to work his way around to the left and squeeze in for the try. Michelle Campos takes the inbound to Mike DeYoung, bounces it back to Mike. They get stopped up by Curley. Spurley comes in to help with the defense. They dump the ball up to O'Neill. They got to call a timeout because they're running short on time. Mike DeYoung will come to the sideline to inbound the ball for the Northridge Knights. Colton Parker takes possession as TIRR Texans drop back to defend the key. Colton drives on the left side, cuts back towards center. Spurley's got outside defense. Parker's trying to see if he's got room behind Danny Ortiz, but he doesn't. He puts the ball up back to O'Neal. O'Neal wants to challenge the right side behind JJ. He doesn't have it though. And that's a turnover. They used up too much time. TIRR Texans ball out of the corner. Steve Curley inbound for the TIRR Texans out of the corner. He's got a few options. Which one will he take? He takes Spurley down low, who dumps the ball immediately off to Ortiz. Ortiz gets hung up on Mike DeYoung, but he's able to work his way free to the center of the court. He's getting challenged by O'Neal, so he pumps the ball up to JJ in the front court. JJ gets hung up on O'Neal and DeYoung, but gets the ball back to Danny. Danny flubs it a little bit. He's going to chase it down. Does he have it? He brings it back in. He's blocked out by O'Neal, so he whizzes his way back and forth on the right side. There's a lot of traffic on the right side, but there's opening on the left. Danny's running low on time. He's got to make a move. What's he going to do? Timeout is the move. Danny Ortiz will come to the sideline to inbound for the Texans. Finds Curley on the inbound on the right side. Run across, Curley jumps in. He's looking for that B gap, but he gets jammed up on Colton Parker. He's able to dump the ball off of Danny Ortiz for the try though. O'Neal takes the inbound for the Knights. Curley comes over in defense, but he gets blocked out by Mike DeYoung. O'Neal finds some space on the right sideline. He's going to push. Spurley is challenging. Danny Ortiz comes over on the top to stop him on the front court. O'Neal dumps the ball off to Mike DeYoung. Mike's looking for an outlet. Time is running short. He gets it off to Colton Parker. Colton Parker jumps off to Michelle Campos, but a timeout was called. Colton Parker takes the inbound for Mike DeYoung out of the sideline. TIRR Texans are in a key defense. Colton's looking for space on the right side, doesn't have it, so he cuts back in, but Brian Spurley is well defending him. Cuts it back into Josh O'Neal. He's able to get the key. but he's not able to score. That'll be a turnover on a play clock violation. TIRR Texans will inbound it from the corner. Danny Ortiz inbounds it down the sideline to Steve Curley. Steve Curley's got to chase it down and recover it. He gets it just in time to score the try. Mike DeYoung looks to inbound it to Michelle Campos, but it's out of her reach and recovered by Steve Curley instead. Steve works his way through the center, back around to the right, finds a nice gap for the try. O'Neal works a give and go on the inbound with Mike DeYoung on the right side. Ooh, tries to work his way back to the center and has to call a timeout to avoid rolling out of bounds. Mike DeYoung will come to the corner to inbound the ball for the Northridge Knights. Gets the ball into Colton Parker. The TIRR Texans have once again dropped back in to defend the key. Parker works his way on the left side, cuts back center, trying to find a gap on the right, but Danny Ortiz has it covered well. Dumps a pass off to Mike DeYoung, but Mike isn't able to bring it in. It's recovered by JJ. JJ rolls up front, but he's stopped by Colton Parker. Colton Parker strips the ball, but Danny Ortiz is able to recover it and roll it in for the try. O'Neal inbounds to Mike DeYoung. Mike DeYoung is open with some blocking from Michelle Campos on the right side, but Spurley comes over to defend the midcourt line. Mike DeYoung has to turn back. He looks for Michelle Campos in the front court, but she isn't able to bring it in. The ball will slowly roll out of bounds. TIRR Texans ball. Brian Spurler will go to the corner to inbound the ball for the TIRR Texans. Steve Curley takes possession of the ball low, waits for Spurley to cut around behind him before rolling out to the center himself. Steve Curley's pushing hard for that left line. Oh, gets spun by Mike DeYoung, but is able to recover. Get the ball across on the front court to Spurley. Spurley's looking for an outlet, finds Hopkins. Hopkins dumps it back to Spurley on that left side. Spurley's rolling up. He has Broussard in coverage and uses Broussard to block his way for him and for a try. Colton Parker comes down and takes the ball on the run and gets stopped by Steve Curley. Dumps the ball off to Josh O'Neal, who will work his way to the left of center. Gets in the front court and then gets stopped by Paul Hopkins. O'Neal will work his way back around to the far right side. Curley and Spurley are there in coverage to force him back into the center. But he's got a gap on the left side to squeeze in for the try. Steve Curley on the inbound gets it to Brian Spurley. Steve Curley gets it to Brian Spurley. Spurley will roll back toward the center and take off down the center. Mike DeYoung gives challenge, but he can't keep up. Colton Parker takes the inbound from Mike DeYoung. Cuts down in the center, gets hung up on his own man. He's trying to wheel around, find some space on the left side. Finds Josh O'Neal streaking up the left for the try. Spurley gets the ball inbound to Steve Curley in the center. Steve is weaving his way up the middle of the court, runs into Josh O'Neal, so he takes off toward the left sideline. Sees Sebastian Broussard in front court and flips the ball out to him. Broussard is looking for an outlet as hands are flying. Steve Curley is able to take the ball back from Broussard. Takes a breath, gets a bounce, waits for Paul Hopkins to set up. Time is running short for the Texans. So Steve Curley calls a timeout. Hopkins will come to the sideline to inbound the ball for the TIRR Texans. Steve Curley takes the inbound, directs his players. Curley streaks through the crowd. What a beautiful pass to Paul Hopkins, streaking into that B gap for the try. Parker works a give and go with Mike DeYoung on the inbound. Spurley stops him briefly, but Parker is able to get the ball across into the front court in the hands of O'Neal, who drops it back off to Mike DeYoung, who gets it to Colton Parker for the try. Hopkins takes the inbound for the Texans, rolls his way back across, challenging Colton Parker, and Hopkins beats Parker into the front court for the try. Parker takes the inbound, working against Steve Curley on defense. Tries to cut back in the center, runs into Paul Hopkins, gets the ball to O'Neal, but O'Neal gets hung up on Curley. So he drops the ball up, is able to get it in the front court on Mike DeYoung, who's tightly defended by Spurley. Josh O'Neal comes and re-enters the fray, though, on the right side. That's the end of the first quarter. So after one quarter of play, the TIRR Texans have a 7-point lead over the Northridge Knights. Mike DeYoung comes to the sideline to inbound for Northridge Knights. Colton Parker will take the inbound as the TIRR Texans drop in to defend the key again. Parker works his way to the side, trying to take advantage of that big gap, but it closes on him in a hurry. But that frees up Josh O'Neill coming to the C gap, take the pass for the try. Curley will put the ball inbounds for the Texans from the baseline. Gets it into Spurley as he rolls around to the outside. Takes the pass back from Spurley. He's looking for Paul Hopkins over the top of the crowd. He finds him. Paul Hopkins is going to race up that left side. Nobody will catch him, so he'll roll all the way in for a try. Oh, the inbound pass to O'Neill was intercepted by a combination of Paul Hopkins and Brian Spurley. Spurley comes away with it, though. Spurley cuts back in the middle, drops the pass back to Paul, but Paul flubs it and rolls out of bounds. Northridge ball. Parker takes the inbounds for the Knights under pressure from Curley. Hopkins comes in for a big hit, but he's able to get the pass away to O'Neill, who is hung up on Spurley. O'Neill puts a bump up. It doesn't go very far and is tipped around. I don't know. I'm not sure who last touched it, but it's on its way out of bounds. Oh, no, it's recovered by Curley in the backcourt. Curley works his way into the front court on the right side. He's got Paul Hopkins to help. Paul comes in with a nice pick to free up the corner for Curley. Parker takes the inbounds with more pressure on the backside from Curley again. Parker uses it to advantage to pick up some speed along the right side and get the ball across into the front court to Josh O'Neill. O'Neill bounces it back to Parker, uses a nice pick from Mike DeYoung to free up space on the right side for the try. Steve Curley takes the inbounds and makes a nice blind pass back to Spurley, who will take it across the front court and bounce it back to Paul Hopkins for the try. O'Neill takes the inbound from Mike DeYoung, who comes in, and there's a nice block on both Spurley and Hopkins, bringing Josh O'Neill to race up the left side into the front court around Curley and in for the try. Paul Hopkins working up high. Curley works a give and go with Spurley down low. Curley has the ball on the right side. Passes it back to Spurley, moving up the center. Spurley will wheel it all the way in for the try. Young inbounds the ball to O'Neill. He gets spun around a little bit by Steve Curley, but is able to wrangle the pass in, work his way up the center of the court. Tries to put up a pass, but it's recovered by Steve Curley on the Texans. Curley dumps it off to Spurley. Spurley pump fakes for Paul Hopkins. Now he passes to Paul Hopkins. Paul Hopkins tries to put the ball over Josh O'Neill, but O'Neill is able to tip it and intercept it. O'Neill's off to the races around the right side, and he will score a try. Spurley bumps a pass up to Steve Curley, but Curley isn't able to bring it in on the front court. And it bounces back to the Northridge Knights. Colton Parker currently has possession. Parker works his way back around to the right side, trying to find a gap somewhere. Runs into Hopkins. Works his way around, trying to open up a C gap, but it's not going to happen, so he puts the pass over Spurley to O'Neal for the try. Spurley tries to take the give and go pass back from Curley, flubs it a little bit, but is able to recover and take the ball up into the front court before he's stopped by Colton Parker. Spurley's getting lots of hands in his face as he dumps the ball over his back to Paul Hopkins. Hopkins is working his way around, trying to work his way around the right side through some blocks from Spurley, but cuts back left. Texans are running out of time. They have to make a move, and the move is Steve Curley around the right corner for a try. O'Neal gets spun on the inbounds again and can't come up the pass. Paul Hopkins recovers and will take the ball in for a try. Parker takes the inbound from Mike DeYoung. Turns his way up. He's defended by Curley. Curley has him stopped low. Tries to pass up to Mike DeYoung when the ball is loose. Paul Hopkins has it stuck in his wheel. That's a 12-second violation on Northridge. TIRR Texans ball. Brian Spurley will come to the sideline to inbound for the TIRR Texans. Curley takes the inbound. He's looking for space on the right side. O'Neal has the right side well defended though. Just Curley cuts back. Curley works his way round up high to the left side and squeezes in the left side of that goal. Josh O'Neal catches a nice arcing inbound pass from Mike DeYoung. Gets the ball back to Mike DeYoung, who flips it out to Colton Parker on the left side. He had room to run, but Hopkins comes to cut him off, so he has to cut back right. Now he's in the center. Oh, that was very close to an over and back violation, but it wasn't called. Instead, he flips it over the top to Josh O'Neal, who takes it in for the try. Curley is charging up the right sideline. Gets challenged by Colton Parker. Hits him hard in the wheel. Disrupts Curley's pass, which rolls out of bounds. Curley calls a bench timeout for the TIRR Texans. Mike DeYoung will inbound out of the corner for Northridge Knights. Tries to flip the ball over Spurley to Parker, but Spurley is able to block it out of bounds. Mike DeYoung bumps it this time. Oh, it's off of Colton Parker's elbow and recovered by Brian Spurley, who charges around the left side. Picks up a block from Steve Curley, who pushes O'Neal out of bounds. That'll be a penalty try. O'Neal inbounds to Mike DeYoung and gets picked out by Steve Curley. DeYoung loses the ball out of bounds. It's TIRR Texans ball. Steve Curley takes the inbound with Mike DeYoung on defense. With the pick from Broussard, Steve Curley spins down low, but he's stripped of the ball by Mike DeYoung, which rolls out of bounds. It'll remain TIRR Texans ball. Curley inbounds to Hopkins, streaking in for the try. DeYoung inbounds a high arcing pass to Colton Parker in the middle, defended by Spurley. He's looking for an outlet. Outlet gets jammed up, so that ball will roll helplessly out of bounds. Wait. Spurley takes the inbound pass from Curley. Dumps it back off to Curley. Curley puts the pass over the top to Paul Hopkins, who reels it in for a try. Jesus Velasco works a give and go with Mike DeYoung on the inbounds. Defended well by Brian Spurley. And dumps the pass off to O'Neal. O'Neal finds Colton Parker, who wheels his way around to the right side, but that took too long. It's a 12-second violation on Northridge. TIRR Texans ball. Paul Hopkins to the sideline to inbound for TIRR Texans. Throws a pass over the crowd to Brian Spurley. Things are a little bit jammed up. Steve Curley works his way around along the midcourt line back to the left side. Gets hung up on Mike DeYoung. Puts a pass over to Spurley in the left corner for the try. DeYoung inbounds the ball to Colton Parker, who comes flying down on his right side. Turns around, works up the left sideline. He's able to beat the defense, and he will take the ball all the way in for a try. Curley has the ball for the Texans, dumps it off for Spurley on the right side, who sees Paul Hopkins streaking across the front court, launches the ball out to him for a try. O'Neal takes the inbound from DeYoung. Curley comes in. O'Neal's double teamed by Hopkins and Curley. Gets the ball out to Colton Parker. Colton Parker gets hung up. Tries to put the ball into the front court to Jesus Velasco, but that's a 12-second violation. TIRR Texans ball. Spurley takes the inbound pass from Steve Curley on the sideline. Tries to work his way through the crowd. Finds his outlet on the left side along with some blocking from Curley. Cuts his way back through a gap into the center and all the way in for the try. Parker takes the inbound from DeYoung despite getting spun around by Steve Curley. Then beats Curley up the right sideline in for a try. Spurley inbounds the ball to Curley. With only a few seconds left in the quarter, they got to move quick. The ball is loose though. And Northridge will just let it roll to end the second quarter. So rolling into halftime, the Texans have a 14-point lead over the Northridge Knights. Danny Ortiz will come out to inbound the ball to kick off the second half for the TIRR Texans. Finds Brian Spurley cutting through the crowd for the try. Michelle Campos attempts to inbound the ball, but it's swiped away by Spurley. Spurley recovers and scores a try. Michelle Campos inbounds again, this time to Josh O'Neill, who brings it in. Michelle comes in, gives him a nice little pick to set him free, but he's looking for an outlet. Tries to put a bump up, it goes low and bounces off the front of Steve Curley's chair. JJ attempts to recover it, but that's a 12-second violation. TIRR Texans ball. Spurley takes the inbound for the Texans. Finds a block from Curley to open up the left side, rolls it in easily for the try. Michelle Campos on the inbound again, gets the ball to Kevin Green. Green puts the ball up to O'Neill, who's hung up on JJ. Dumps the ball back to Kevin Green, gets stuffed just before the line by Spurley. Puts up a pass, it's off of JJ's shoulder, but it wouldn't be caught anyway. That's a 12-second violation. Curley takes the inbound high. Rolls around to the right, beats Kevin Green around, has nothing but space on the right side for the try. Joey Merrick takes the inbound from Michelle Campos as the TIRR Texans drop back into a key defense. He airs the ball up looking for Josh O'Neill, but it's just out of his reach. Bounced out of bounds. TIRR Texans will call for a sub as JJ and Curley go back to the bench in exchange for Paul Hopkins and Sebastian Broussard. O'Neill takes the inbounds despite pressure from Brian Spurley. He's trying to work his way around, has his back to the rest of the crowd, so he dumps the ball up to Michelle Campos. Michelle is looking for gaps, gets hung up on Paul Hopkins. Bumps the ball out to Joey Merrick, but the pass is a little bit short. He can't bring it in. It's loose on the floor. He brings it in and he's able to call timeout before the play clock expires. Michelle Campos will inbound the ball from the sideline for Northridge Knights. She gets the ball into Joey Merrick, who works his way back up to the center. He tries to dump a pass over Danny Ortiz to Kevin Green, but it's bobbled back and forth, and Danny Ortiz comes up with it. Danny Ortiz is looking for an outlet, doesn't find one, passes it up to Brian Spurley. Who calls the timeout? Danny Ortiz takes the inbound on the sideline and has nothing but open space between him and the goal. I was wrong. He has Josh O'Neal between him and the goal, who forces him to turn up to the right. Ortiz works around back to the left, trying to find that corner. Cuts back inside, gets hung up by Joey Merrick. Tries to put the ball over to Spurley, but Merrick gets a finger on it while Spurley rolls out of bounds. Northridge Knights ball. Merrick will take the inbound from Campos. Backs his way into some traffic, dumps the ball off to Josh O'Neal, coming around the right side. He gets hung up on Paul Hopkins. Puts a bump into the backcourt. There's nobody back there except Brian Spurley, who chases the ball down and recovers it. Spurley rolls back through traffic to score the try. Texans dropping a key defense as Joey Merrick pushes the ball up court. O'Neal has the ball on the right side. Tries to force through gap behind Sebastian Broussard. Isn't able to do it, so he puts the ball over to Kevin Green, who rolls in for the try. We have a long bump pass to Paul Hopkins in the front court for the Texans. Paul Hopkins dumps it back off to Danny Ortiz around the right side for a try. TIRR Texans will drop back in to defend the key again. Merrick dumps the ball back off to O'Neal as they're defended by Spurley. Danny Ortiz comes out and meets him up high, then comes over to fill the right corner gap. He tries to put the ball over, and he does, into the hands of Paul Hopkins. Hopkins will launch it up into the front court and is chased back down by Josh O'Neal. O'Neal works the ball back across into the front court before he's stopped by Spurley. He was looking for Michelle Campos, but the pass is a little short and off of her front picker. It's loose in the front court and recovered by Sebastian Broussard. Broussard will take it in for a try. Merrick will take the inbounds and move the ball up court. He's looking for space on the right side, cuts back to the center, looking for Kevin Green, who's come out of the key and spinning around in circles. O'Neal shoots the gap on the right side, looks for the pass from Merrick. Is able to reel it in behind his back, but he's hung up on Sebastian Broussard. Will he be able to get in across the line? Kevin Green comes to help with a push for the try. Ortiz inbounds to Hopkins, cuts across the center, and then wheels back around, is racing up the right sideline, rolling back to the center. He's got options. Brian Spurley comes in for the pick on O'Neal, frees up the left corner for Hopkins. Knights move the ball up court as the TIRR Texans drop in to defend the key again. Merrick has the ball, looking for room in the C gap, but Danny Ortiz has him hung up. Dumps the ball off to Kevin Green on the right corner, but he's well defended by Sebastian Broussard. Green dumps the ball back off to O'Neal. O'Neal's looking to pass over the reach of Broussard. He doesn't have any good outlets, though. Time is running short. They got to make a move. O'Neal tries to bounce the ball off of Broussard's chair, but instead it ping-pongs between him and Green. And they've run out of time. TIRR Texans ball. Northridge will call for substitutions as Jesus Velasco comes in to replace Michelle Campos, and JJ Narvaez comes in to replace Paul Hopkins for the Texans. Danny Ortiz pulls off a long bump pass. Brian Spurley's got to chase it down. He gets hooked up by Josh O'Neal before he can bring it in, though. Out of bounds. Northridge Knights ball. Jesus Velasco will come to inbound the ball from the corner for Northridge. He launches the ball up high, but it bounces around and is eventually recovered by Danny Ortiz, who brings it in for a try. Kevin Green comes up with the pass. Puts a pass up deep toward Josh O'Neal, but O'Neal wasn't able to bring it in. Instead, Danny Ortiz comes up with it. He's stopped at the mid-court line. Dumps the ball off to Brian Spurley on the left side. Spurley will work his way back to the center and around to the right. Spurley puts the ball up over the top to JJ and waiting for a try. O'Neal gets hung up in traffic, launches the ball up into the front court, but it's caught by Sebastian Broussard. Broussard jumps it off to Spurley, who will roll back around to the left side, take it back into the front court for the Texans. Weaves his way around Danny Ortiz on the right side for a try. Velasco inbounds to Merrick as the TIRR Texans drop into a key defense. Merrick tries to shoot the B gap, gets hung up between Ortiz and Broussard. Ball is stripped and it's loose. Who's going to come up with it? O'Neal makes it to it first, brings it in, but Merrick was pushed out of the back of the court, so that'll be a turnover. TIRR Texans ball. With only 4 seconds left in the quarter, Spurley takes the inbound and just holds on to it to kill the rest of the time. So at the end of 3 quarters, the TIRR Texans lead the Northridge Knights 36-14. Here we go. The Northridge Knights will take possession for the final 8 minutes of the USWRA Low Point Wheelchair Rugby season. Velasco will inbound for the Knights from the sideline to Joey Merrick. Merrick takes the ball around the right, shoots through the B gap for a try. JJ takes the inbound from Danny Ortiz down low. He gets hung up on Jesus Velasquez, but is able to dump it around his back to Danny Ortiz. Danny has space and blockers. Works his way through the center all the way around to the left side of the front court. Pulls it up to burn off some clock, and then wheels it in for the try. Wanu takes the inbound as the Texans drop back to defend the key. Merrick looks for a gap around the backside of Broussard, but he gets hung up. Put the ball over to Kevin Green, but left the court first, so that'll be a turnover. TIRR Texans ball out of the corner. Danny Ortiz will inbound for the Texans to Spurley. Spurley takes the inbound, wheels around up the right sideline. Crosses across into the front court. Before getting jammed up, passes the ball out to JJ. JJ looked like he wanted to go up to the left, but thinks better of it. Works his way back around to the right where he's got blocking from Ortiz. That's leaving the court on a Northridge Knight player. And a penalty try for the Texans. Inbound is fumbled by Northridge, recovered by Spurley, who dumps the ball off to JJ. JJ Narvaez wiggles around before cutting back to the right. He's got lots of blockers in space to squeeze his way in for the try. Green takes the inbound up the center. Tries to bump over Brian Spurley, but Spurley deflects it into the hands of Sebastian Broussard. Broussard's looking for an outlet, despite hands from Kevin Merrick, or Joey Merrick, so he's able to get it into Danny Ortiz's lap. Danny Ortiz rolls left and puts a little arcing pass over to JJ for the try. Steve Curley calls for the Texans to play key defense for the rest of the game, which makes my life easier controlling the camera, so I'm okay with that. Josh O'Neill woos in the C gap for the try. Spurley will inbound for the Texans from the baseline. Finds JJ moving across to the right. JJ cut back left. Gets a little help from Sebastian Broussard as he moves to the center of the court and up into the front court. Gets himself a dribble in. It's him versus Josh O'Neill on the defense. Sebastian Broussard picks him out, and Danny seals the right side corner in. What a great push from JJ on that entire possession. Danny Ortiz comes out to defend against Joey Merrick. Spurley puts some pressure on, but that opens up the gap behind him for Josh O'Neal to come in and take the pass for the try. JJ takes the inbound from Spurley. Gets hung up on Joey Merrick, so he dumps the ball off to Danny Ortiz in the center of the court. Danny makes his way across midcourt into the front court, puts all the defenders behind him, and scores the try. Merrick works his way around to the left side. The B gap closes. So he dumps the ball up to Kevin Green, moving across from the right side. Green drops the ball to O'Neal, who shoots the C gap for the try. Danny puts in the inbound to JJ. JJ works his way up the left side of the court. It's just him and Kevin Green on the other side. JJ beats him handily for a try. Merrick is running the offense for the Knights. Gets a pick from Josh O'Neal, who drops in. Merrick puts the ball over the top right into Josh O'Neal's hand, and he'll score a try. JJ takes the inbounds from Spurley, turns around and starts pushing up the center of the court, but he's caught by Josh O'Neal just before he can break into the front court. Dumps the ball back off to Brian Spurley. Spurley puts it over the top to Danny Ortiz in the front court. Now it's Ortiz on O'Neal. Ortiz weaves around O'Neal thanks to a little bit of brush from Spurley. Takes the ball on the right side of the key for a try. Merrick takes the ball on the right side, defended by Danny, but that leaves the B gap open for Merrick to sneak in for the try. JJ has the ball again, working from the left side back to the center. Weaves his way through the crowd, gets in the front court. It's just Kevin Green to beat, and JJ beats him for the try. Merrick takes the ball to the left side, dumps it off to Kevin Green, but JJ has that corner well defended. Tries to put a pass over the front back to Joey Merrick, but it bounces off his chair out of bounds. Broussard will take the inbound for the Texans out of the far corner. Broussard looks for JJ, finds him in the middle of the crowd. JJ works his way back across, has lots of empty court, except for, that guy named Josh O'Neal. But he baits him in and then dumps a pass off to Paul Hopkins on the right side, and then picks up a block against O'Neal so that Paul Hopkins can wheel his way around in for the try. Merrick rolls rolls out to the left side again. He's blocked out by Hopkins. Hopkins has hands up. Merritt gets the ball over to O'Neal and scores on a penalty try for leaving the court on the Texans. Spurley has the inbounds, bobbles the ball a little bit, and is swiped out of bounds by Kevin Green. Sebastian Broussard will inbound from the corner for the TIRR Texans. Spurley with the ball. He's looking for an outlet, loses the ball, which recovered by Paul Hopkins. Hopkins pushes forward back to the center, finds JJ deep, but puts it just out of his reach. JJ can't catch up with it and bring it in. Michelle Campos has rejoined the game for the Northridge Knights. Joey Murray works his way up the left side, tries to cut back in center, but he's met by Paul Hopkins. Tries to back through a gap between Hopkins and Green, but it's not there. He tries again, once again, to beat Paul Hopkins. Hopkins hooks him, but he's able to sneak his way in, his front wheels across for that try. Hopkins takes the inbounds from Spurley down low. Cuts and pushes along the left sideline, cuts back toward the center, and then puts an outlet pass up for Sebastian Broussard in the front court for the try. Green bumps the ball into O'Neal. Merrick has the ball now, dumps it off to Kevin Green coming across, but he runs into JJ. Tries to back his way through that gap and instead backs into Paul Hopkins there for the stop. Green dumps the ball out to O'Neal. O'Neal's looking for a gap. Instead, he tries to put the ball over Sebastian Broussard for Green, but it's well defended by Broussard and out of bounds. JJ Narvaez takes the inbounds for the Texans, works his way down low and back to the center. Has Josh O'Neal between him and the goal, weaves his way back and forth. Tries to get a dribble but loses the ball. It's down on the floor that's being fought over. O'Neal's able to come up with the ball. O'Neal will just hold on to the ball and burn off the last few seconds in this game. And with the final score of 47-22, the TIRR Texans are your 2025 USWRA Low Point Wheelchair Rugby National Champions. Congratulations to TIRR Texans and to all the teams who participated throughout the season and in this tournament here at Rise Adaptive. It's been a great year, and we look forward to joining you for the USWRA main season coming up soon.